Again, if we'll start making our way to our seats, we'll begin this portion of our State of the Association address with our Executive Director, Heath Harmon. If everybody will make their way. All right, again, thank you. And we just had a brief reset. We appreciate all of our coaches coming from volleyball, cross country, and swim and dive. Outstanding sports there. Again, Scott Griffin here, the Director of Communications. I feel like Kaylin DeBoer replacing Saban. It's, you know, Ron Ingram's a Hall of Famer, so we're doing the best we can. So bear with me as we grow into the job here. But we appreciate you coming. We're live streaming again on WOTM, all their channels, different platforms, OTM TV. Vince has all that information. It goes all over the state in many different ways. Also on AHSAA Facebook page and on the YouTube channel that we have at AHSAA Now. And you can find all that. You won't be able not to find it. All right, next we will have our State of the Association address with our Executive Director going into his third year here at the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Heath Harmon.
Thanks, Scott. Just want to welcome everyone and start by saying how thankful I am for Scott. We are excited to have him on staff. I'll be talking about that a little bit later with some of our staff and some of our additions, but very excited to have Scott and what he's going to bring to the job, and also incorrectly referred to me as Dr. Harmon a couple of times, which I don't mind, but I have my ABD. That's all but dissertation, so I'm a dissertation shy of being a doctor, but I'm not going to quit. If athletics taught me anything, it was to not quit, keep going at it. So I want to welcome everyone, and I'm going to see if I can manage this clicker. I want to start by saying thank you for Vince and WOTM and what you do. Vince, can't thank you enough for the things that you do as far as making sure that our events, our press conferences and things are covered. The Athletic Association has a lot of things that it's very proud of, and anytime we're able to showcase that and show that to the state, that's important. And Vince, you're a big part of that. A lot of what you do is behind the scenes, a lot of work that people may not know, but I know what you do, and I know your commitment to doing it the right way. And I know it's not just you, you have a staff, but Vince, I want you to know that we're very thankful for what you do and appreciate what you do. Thank you to the media. I would say the same thing to the media. You know, the association does a lot of things outside of just rules enforcement. A lot of times rules enforcement are the things that gets talked about the most, but I'm going to talk a little bit today about things that the association does outside of that. And the Athletic Association provides a lot of benefits to its members. And it's a great opportunity for young people, and it's very important that it's covered and it's talked about and those stories are told, and that's done through the media. And you know, we have great media in this state that cover high school athletics. You being here today is a big deal. I appreciate you doing that. I know in a world of virtual type scenarios, you have you know, situations where you can do things virtually, but face-to-face is a lot of times better, and appreciate you being here. So very thankful for also, as I see you sitting there, I'm probably getting off my script a little bit, but Jack, I'm thankful for APT. I had a chance to go up to Birmingham and visit their offices. I like to get into people's offices and see what they're all about, walk around and let them take me on a tour and see what their mission is, because one of the most important things I can say about the High School Athletic Association is that we have an educational mission, and APT certainly has an educational mission. It just permeates through your building as you walk through there. So the opportunity to have partnerships with people like APT is huge, because they get into every household in the state, and when you're talking about being able to cover things and have your product, that's important. And so we look for partnerships. You can have things that you need to purchase and pay for and things like that, but you're really looking for partners who have the same type mission that you have. See, the AHSAA radio network is a perfect example of that. Don't know what year they're in, but long-standing commitment with a lot of behind-the-scenes hard work that nobody probably even knew about how many ever years ago, and very thankful for the partnership with with AHSAA Radio Network and all the things that give us an opportunity to tell the story of education-based athletics, which is very important. So thankful for all that y'all do. And as I'm seeing y'all sitting here, I may be getting off my script a little bit, but very thankful for what you do. Well, here we are. So as I mentioned earlier, Wayne and Jack, APD, very appreciative of that partnership that I was talking about earlier and what they do and their mission and what they're all about. Very thankful for that. Also, we have it's making me double click, so y'all bear with me. What I mentioned earlier with Randy, he's here, and of course with Brett with the AHSAA Radio Network. Thankful for that partnership as well, and everything that you guys do. If you see here's some highlights of what we do with the radio network since 2008. So I didn't know the year, but it's been a long-standing partnership. And very thankful for everything that they do. I just want to start with that. I want to start with thank yous. It's important that once I get people in a room and I can tell you face to face that we appreciate what you do, I want to do that. Thank you. And I want you to understand that I'm thankful for what you do and your contribution to education-based athletics. We just had some coaches on earlier kicking off our fall sports, and just can't say thank you enough to our coaches and the commitment of what they do in the schools with their student athletes. The passion for their sport really comes out of them. They talk about relationships. They talk about things that they do with their students that will stay with them long after their coaching days. And we'll have another group of coaches that will come up with our flag football and football here in just a minute. But just very thankful for our coaches, very thankful for our member schools and their administration. You know, I say all the time in the Athletic Association, the responsibility of the athletic program is placed on the principal, and we ask principals to do more and more and more from a management safety standpoint on the campus, from academics to athletics. And so principals have a lot that they have to do, and very thankful for their commitment. And I know they have a staff, they have assistant principals and athletic directors that they depend on, but thankful for them and their commitment to education-based athletics. There are a few people who were with us last year and capacities and work with the Athletic Association that have retired that I want to say a thank you to, and there's a couple of recognitions I want to mention. So I want to start with Terry Curtis. Many of you know Coach Curtis. For the last 2 years, Coach Curtis was the Central Board President. He was on the Central Board for several years, but the last 2 years he was the Board President. He has retired. And I'm sure he'll find something to do because I don't know that he'll ever just fully retire, but very thankful for Coach Curtis and his commitment to what he does, but especially specifically in the role of Central Board President that he served in the last 2 years. So thank you to Coach Curtis. Mentioned earlier, very happy and excited to have Scott on board. He is replacing Ron, who was here several years. Many of you know Ron and worked with Ron, and thankful for him. I think that 2007 to 2026, so was here for quite a time. So thankful for him. Also want to mention that we're in the Dan Washburn Auditorium. So Dan Washburn is a former executive director. And the reason I put this picture up here is I want to share the conversation that had prior to this picture being made. So this is the NFHS Summer Conference in Utah. And this is Dan Washburn standing with Lance Thompson, who is the executive director of Arkansas, who is going to be the board president for the NFHS. And the conversation that I had prior to this was him talking about the impact that Dan Washburn had on him. As a young executive director, Dan Washburn mentored him. And now as he goes into his role, as not only is he continuing as the executive director of Arkansas, he's going to be the board president for the NFHS. And he was impacted greatly by Dan Washburn. And so just wanted to, any opportunity I have to say thank you to Dan Washburn and what he's done, but also so that you know the AHSAA has a really strong reputation nationwide. And these conversations are important when people come up to me and say, hey, so-and-so from your state had a big impact on me and what we do in our state. So wanted to mention that. Also, we had this past summer former executive director Steve Savarese who went into the NFHS Hall of Fame, which is a really big deal, going into the National Hall of Fame, and was an outstanding executive director, and very thankful for the work that he's done. And it was awesome to be able to be at that ceremony and see him be inducted to that National Hall of Fame, which is well-deserved. Also have former executive directors still living. I mentioned Dan Washburn. I mentioned Steve Savarese and Alvin Briggs. Very thankful for them, the job that they did as executive directors, and the opportunity that I have to build relationships with them, and just thankful for the work that they did in their capacity. Our central board, you can see behind me, this is our central board, and our central board has the final authority on all things athletics, high school athletics in the state of Alabama. They are, they have full-time jobs. They're coaches, athletic directors, principals, superintendents, but their commitment to their role as a central board member is crucial to the success of our association. And so very thankful for our central board. Kim Keel is our board president. Brian Jett is our vice president. We have 15 members on our central board, and I am honored and privileged to be able to work with them in that capacity. Also, the way our governance is set up, we have legislative council. Legislative council, one of the big responsibilities they have is to look at proposals made by member schools in April to ratify or not ratify proposals that member schools made. If member schools want to change bylaws, then they do that through a proposal process. So we have 8 districts that you can see here with our legislative council members. Very thankful for their commitment. They're school people. They're coaches, assistant principals, principals throughout the state that are selected by their district. We have 8 districts, and they're selected to serve on their district board, so very thankful for them. Can't say enough about our staff. I know we introduced our staff earlier, but they are very committed to doing the work that needs to be done in this office. They are great people and have tremendous work ethic and commitment to what they're doing, and they're able to put up with me every day. So I can't say thank you enough to our staff. Some of our staff are new, and so if you don't know some of them, please introduce yourself to them, put a face to a name, and get to know them, because we have a fantastic staff. We couldn't do what we do in the association when you start thinking about things like the Steve Savarese grant program, where we're able to send money back to schools so they can put back into their programs. The events that we have, we could not do it without our corporate partners and corporate sponsors. So they're a group that we can't really talk about enough because of corporate partners and corporate sponsors and those partnerships, and because of venues throughout this state that want us to be there for their championship and don't just see it as a money-making venture, as a profit-loss type deal. We're able to provide great championship experiences. And so our corporate partners and our corporate sponsors are really important to what we do, and want to make sure that we thank them. Also, anytime I get a chance to talk about the Bryant Jordan, I want to talk about the Bryant Jordan. It's when we have the Bryant Jordan selection process here in the Dan Washburn Auditorium, it's probably one of the best but toughest days. It's one of the best days because we get to hear stories of students throughout this state that are doing phenomenal things. Some of them are achieving at a very high level. Some of them are overcoming hardships, and we get to hear those stories, and it will absolutely blow you away and make you so proud of what's going on. And every one of those kids can show you a connection to their team, to their coach, to their community through education-based athletics, which has helped them achieve what they've achieved or helped them overcome some type of adversity. And anytime I get a chance to talk about the Bryant Jordan, I want to talk about that because participation is the key. We want schools to nominate kids for that Bryant Jordan deal. So anytime I can talk about that, I like to do that. Just want to say the Alabama High School Athletic Association, founded in 1921, has been around for a really long time. And there's a certain way that the Athletic Association does what it does. And so it's a private association made up of member schools. And so the way that works is We have schools that have the opportunity to make the rules. They have an opportunity to change the rules through a proposal process, and they agree to follow the rules. So we're a private association made up of member schools who agree to understand that they have an opportunity to they write the rules, they can change the rules, and they agree to follow the rules. As I mentioned earlier, there are 8 districts. From those 8 districts, we have district boards. Those district boards then send representatives to the central board, and that's the governance of the association. Our legislative council will take proposals that schools write in January, and they vote on those proposals in April, and if any of those proposals are passed, they go into effect the next year. And for that next year, we agree to follow those rules as written, no matter what. So that's how the governance of the association works. We exist because of championship sports. That's why high school athletic associations exist. If you can imagine years ago, before you participated in your first organized sport, if you were just out in somebody's yard and you were playing baseball, you had to determine if the ball was hit past what tree, it was a home run or not. And if you determined that that was the tree, that if you hit it past it, it was a home run, at some point during that time, somebody was going to hit one just a little short of that and still want a home run. And y'all had to huddle up and decide if you were going to change the rules in the middle of the game. And people will always have that desire to change rules in the middle of the game. So because of that, back in the 1920s, people were doing just that. High school athletics across the nation was chaotic. And so athletic associations were formed to govern championship play. So that's what we do. This is these are the sports that we're able to offer in championship play. We have our basketball championship and our football championship. You can see here on our helmet, as well as on the graphic up here, the new logo for our football championship, as well as our basketball championship. I went one, there we go. All right, so we work with officials, with the registration, the regulation, and the training of officials. That's a very important component of what the Athletic Association does. Ken Washington is here. He's sitting in the back. He's our director of officials. Without officials, it would just be a scrimmage. You have to have officials. And so that's a big part of what the Athletic Association does, which is recruit, train, and retain officials. So even though people might get upset with calls that are made, we do have a process by which we recruit, train, and retain officials, and it's very important. Can you imagine trying to have high school athletics if you didn't have officials? It wouldn't happen. We also have, in an auspice of the AHSAA, we have the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association. So you can see the things behind me that entity involves. That is where you get into your coaches' education. Now, there are some schools that are well resourced, and they can go out and find what may be some of the best coaches around that have the best certifications, and they would have that on their own even if it wasn't a requirement. But there's some schools that couldn't do that and would only do it if it was a requirement. And so the Athletic Association, through our coaches' education program, coaches are not allowed to even coach until they have those certain qualifications and certifications and documentation of that. So the Athletic Association is what helps to make sure those coaches are supported and have what they need. In addition to that, the Coaches Association offers professional development. We bring in coaches for lunch and learns, where we can make sure that they have professional development in that realm. We have a summer conference that's connected to our all-star games in the summer where we have professional development. And then we have a principals and athletic directors conference in the spring, which is another opportunity. So all of that is done through our Coaches Association. So that is another important part of what we do with our association. I talked earlier about the legislative process and how important that is with what our schools do, which is an important component of the AHSAA. And I can't stress enough that we're educational based. We have an educational mission. What we do is an extension of the classroom. We are not athletic programs that are loosely connected to an educational institution. We are very much a part of that educational mission and institution, and we exist to help those schools carry out their educational mission and their desired outcomes. We have a strategic plan you can see here, just to kind of hit on some highlights of that. What we're working toward in our next 5 years for our strategic plan is recognition, how we work with the media, how we communicate to schools, our financial stability, our safety, and how we're supporting schools in compliance. So that is our strategic mission, and our outcome is to advance educational excellence through athletics. We have something that we're extremely proud of when we talk about sportsmanship. You can see here that this past year we had 98 member high schools that were ejection-free for the 25-26 school year. We were able to distribute, we're now up to $152,000 in grants as of 2008 to 135 schools. So extremely proud of what we do related to sportsmanship. It's very important to us that our schools show great sportsmanship. The next thing that I would say is that we have, and I think this is a slide that jumbled up, but I'll tell you what this is. This is basically talking about how we can do what we do with money back to schools. And we're able to do that. That's our Steve Savarese grant program. We're able to do that because of our partnership with corporate partners. We're able to do that because of our partnerships with GoFan, the NFHS network, and things like that. So it doesn't just happen by accident. Those are strategic and intentional partnerships that have been longstanding with the association. Okay, so at this time, I know Scott's going to have to moderate this for time, and I will be available when this is over for individual press. But if anybody's got any questions that you would like to ask at this time, we can do that as long as Scott says we have time.
Is now a good time to ask about the transfer portal that you're working on? Give us a little update on it.
Yeah. So we don't have a transfer portal, but we do have transfer is one of the top issues that we work with as an association. Of our proposals that passed last year, we had several proposals that were directly connected to how we handle transfers. Schools are required to mark transfers, athletic transfers by definition in our data management system, which is Dragonfly. And that is something that is, our schools are working on right now as far as by definition, a transfer is marked in our data management system, which is Dragonfly.
Mr. Harlow, that's supposed to be public information, right? I've noticed, I looked a couple of times this week, I didn't see any designation for that.
Yes, so the proposal as written was that transfers will be marked in Dragonfly, and that will be on a roster that is made public. So we have given our schools the information as far as what they do to mark the transfer and what they do concerning making the rosters public. Dragonfly in and of itself has to have an operational way for that to end up on the public roster, which has not been done yet with their developers or whatever. So what we know that we've asked the schools to do, what they're responsible for is marking the transfers by definition in Dragonfly and making sure that their rosters are public. And so if you see a roster that's public with no distinction on transfers, that's because it hasn't on the software or engineering side of that Dragonfly hasn't been able to get that engineered yet.
Any other questions?
What led to the decision to vote on splitting up the public and private schools in classification?
So as we classify every 2 years. And so when we came into this classification, of course, every classification has a element of controversy to it because you're putting schools in classifications where a school might end up being the largest or smallest in a classification. This one was obviously historic in the fact that it determined two pathways for championships, one for public and one for private. And so what that did was it eliminated some of the pain points for the private schools with the multiplier and competitive balance. And it also, I think, gave an opportunity to create more championships. We classify every 2 years. We typically do not classify in the middle of a classification period, so we're set for the next 2 years. But we do have a new staff member, Buster Daniel. If Buster wants to kind of throw his hand up at you, he's, in addition to other duties, he will be our liaison to our private schools, because with this being so new for our private schools, we want to make sure that they have a voice and a means by which to communicate things that are pain points for them moving forward. So that will be something that we'll be looking at over the next 2 years.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead.
I was thinking one member school went back to the AHSAA, but then there's this new league. Are you guys concerned that this split, while maybe it solves some of the pain points, is driving other member schools to look for alternatives to the AHSAA?
So I would say that as far as in an official capacity, I've seen news stories on that, have not had any official communication to us through the means by which a member school could communicate. Any pain points from public or non-public that are communicated to our office, we have a way to do that. I would just say that our concern is we want our schools to understand we have processes by which to adjust through our legislative process, through our committees, things like that. And I would just encourage those schools to follow the procedures of those processes. And we have tremendous benefits that are offered for being a member, and so I would just encourage them to make sure that they consider those and work through the processes that we have, to make things the best it can be for all member schools.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, Lee Scott and Glenwood, you know how close they are together, and you got one going north about 300 miles, and then you got one going south about 300 miles. Did y'all kind of work with those regions to actually try to decrease a lot of the travel, or how are y'all able to do that?
So when you look at classification, majority of our sports are in areas. Football is in regions. Football is in regions because when you go to regions, you're going to have a less difficult time scheduling games, but you're going to have more travel. So the Central Board has always viewed that as, with football, the games are on Friday night, you don't have school on Saturday, you're playing that school one time this year at home, maybe the next time on the road, so you're going there one time every 2 years. So it makes more sense from a travel standpoint for that to be able to be handled in region play in football. The areas, typically you get your schools closer together, they're playing more times, they're playing during the school week, and so that is what you have to look at to start with. Now, one of the biggest pain points for our private schools is going to be travel, just as you put those regions together. And we did have that conversation whether we were going to go area, which would have helped travel, hurt scheduling, or if we were going to go region. So when we went region, there are some legitimate pain points there with travel, and we're trying to work on that and see what that looks like. Where moving forward, maybe we can help some schools out with that.
Time for one more.
Kind of follow up on that.
Right.
I heard from some coaches, that some people want area just because it gives them the more flexibility in football for scheduling, even though they know it may hurt that. Has there been talks on what would that look like? What would the process be to go? Because I know it used to be areas where we could be processed to go back to that.
So I do hear there are some people that will communicate to us that they would like to be in area. This is not any scientific data. This is all just anecdotal. There's much more communication that they like the region in football. But that would be another thing that would go through our legislative process. And we have a classification committee. It's an advisory committee. They meet once a year. They meet twice on a year where we classify. So those type things really start in that classification committee and then makes it to the board. And the board during classification will give an executive director, they'll give me directives on say, hey, this is what we would like for you to produce for us to look at, like what it looks like. And so it's my job and with my staff to give them the best possible data on what the different scenarios would look like, but that would have to go through our processes.
All right, that concludes the State Association and Q&A, and Mr. Harmon will be available after the Kickoff Classic portion of the Fall Media Days for a group with one-on-one interviews, okay? So we'll do, thank you, Mr. Harmon, we appreciate it. Brief 2-minute reset. We'll let the coaches and from the football come on up, and we'll do a brief reset and start our Kickoff Classic. I'm from the west side. West side boys, man. West side boys. West side town. You can put it more down here. Well, the main plan needs to be there. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. All right, we can make our way to our seats again for our final portion of the day. All right, now it's time to do our other, as we continue Fall Media Day, our other sports, flag football, of course, and football. And we have to distinct, right? We call it padded, non-padded, flag, football, whatever it is, but they're both very, very competitive. And if you've seen some of our state championships, you know that is the case for sure the last 2 or 3 years. Got the Kickoff Classic coming up, and we're doing a little bit different. We normally have it at Crampton Bowl, obviously, the last several years. In our 20th annual game. This time we're going on campus, so to speak. We think it's kind of vital, obviously, to high schools, taking a big matchup that was already scheduled and make it at the Kickoff Classic and not take away from a home game and a home atmosphere in high school athletics, which is really the lifeblood of everything, regardless of the sport we're talking about. So doing it a little different this year. So we're excited about that change coming up next Thursday. 3 o'clock, we will have Montgomery Catholic with Whitney Toole, head coach there, and then Mitchell Holt of the Central Phoenix City Red Devils at 3 in the heat of the day. Hope you don't mind that. You'll see about the conditioning of your teams. Then at 7 o'clock, we'll have Thompson against Central Phoenix City, and Cody Flournoy in his first year, Mark Freeman, of course, several years at Thompson. So let's start with a little bit of what's going on. But before we get to that, Tara Osborne is going to come up and talk a little bit about flag football in general, and then Brent Bedsell will come up and talk about football as well. But flag football, as you know, has only been a state championship sport, 3 years? This will be the 4th year coming up, right? Yeah, this will be the 3rd year. And there were some, we've had competitions for 5 or 6 years, but the official sanction for 3 years. So here's Tara Osborne, who's in charge of flag football.
Good morning. So there is absolutely no denying that girls flag football is taking Alabama and the nation by storm. Since AHSAA introduced as an emerging sport in 2021, the game has grown at an incredible pace. Beginning with the 24-25 school year, girls flag football officially became a sanctioned sport, giving our athletes the opportunity to compete for the coveted blue map in 2 classifications. Though momentum has only continued. Today, we boast 4 classifications with 150 schools, declaring girls flag football just this year alone. Alabama teams are making their mark nationally as well, with Central Phoenix City capturing 3 consecutive championships and being recognized by USA Today as the national champion in 24 and in 25. And the future is even brighter. In February, Prattville High School's Lania Page and Central Phoenix City's Colby Cook represented Alabama on a national stage when they were selected to participate in the NFL Girls High School Flag Football Showcase at the 2026 Pro Bowl games in San Francisco. So needless to say, the excitement, it is real. The growth is undeniable, and the best is yet to come for girls flag football in the state of Alabama.
And we are up to how many teams now?
150.
150. Think about that. The growth of flag football in our state is definitely up there with volleyball for some of the fastest growing sports. Brent Bedsole, our assistant director and in charge of football, has a few thoughts as we get ready for the first game. Yep.
I mean, she looks a lot better.
Brent wants his own picture up there. Imagine. There you go.
I know she looks better than me. She outshines me. First of all, thanks to the players and the coaches that made a sacrifice to come today. I know you guys are upset about missing a little bit of class and would rather be sitting in class than in here. I see the thumbs up. The beginning of the 2026 high school football season's here. We've been waiting on it for a long time. It seems like Christmas. It never gets here. The lights are going to be bright. The bands are going to be ready. The cheerleaders are going to be fired up. For small towns and big communities across the state, our communities will come together for one of the greatest traditions that we have, which is Alabama high school football. There's nothing quite like a Friday night in Alabama, especially in our smaller communities where you have people that come together and shut down stores, shut down their businesses so they can get to the stadium on time and find a parking spot. The roar of the crowd, the sound of the pads, the pride of the school colors, the energy that in the stands will remind us that the game is a lot bigger than that scoreboard that we all use to judge how great we are, how bad we did. It's not about that. It's about heart. It's about hustle. It's about young people learning how to push, lead, and sacrifice so that they can only become a team and then rise together. The season countdown is over. The work is being put in right now really hard in the hot summer heat, in the weight room, the conditioning, the film study, and every hard practice has led us to this moment. The first kickoff is coming, the playoff road is waiting, and every team in Alabama has a chance to write their own story. To the players, this is your time. We've all had our time. This is your time to shine. This is your time to play fast, your time to play physical and smart and play for that teammate beside you. Play for that coach that believes in you, the family cheering you on, and the school name across your chest. When adversity comes, and guys, adversity's going to come sometime this season, answer it together. Don't answer it individually, answer it together as a team. That's who's going to win the state championship. To the coaches, thank you for pouring your energy, time, and belief into these young men, because we're building more than offenses, defenses, and special teams. We're building confidence that'll carry you through a lifetime. We're building toughness, accountability, character that will last far beyond this season. To the officials, administrators, trainers, band directors, cheer sponsors, volunteers, and families that make the game so special, you make Friday night magic happen. Your work behind the scenes and creates a stage for our student athletes to shine. Finally, to the fans, bring the noise, bring the pride, bring the sportsmanship, pack the stands, support the bands, support the cheerleaders, support everything that the atmosphere brings. The tough stops and the young people giving everything that they have for their school and their community. Celebrate that. And as we kick off another great year of Alabama high school football, let's celebrate that it's what's good about Alabama and what's good about the state that we live in and the country we live in is the sport of football. So good luck to every team across the state. Let's turn on the lights, let's fill the stands, and let's make this football season one to remember. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's done. All right, so now let's introduce the coaches, get some thoughts, and we'll start the media portion of this. Whitney Toole again, Montgomery Catholic. This is kind of interesting because it's the private school, but she's been terrific even when we had it, before we had the different classifications that we'll be going into. She's been in 3 straight state championships as Montgomery Catholic. They've sandwiched a state title in there with 2 runner-up finishes. And just an outstanding record. So just talk a little bit about your team and what you're seeing with the growth of flag football.
Yeah, we're excited.
And if you want to come up here, actually. Yes. Yes.
First of all, I want to thank the media, not only for today, but just for what you do for flag football in general to get these girls spotlight and publicity that the football teams get. Like you said, we've competed in 3 state championships. We've lost 2, won 1. We have a group of core seniors back this year that we're super excited about. They have kind of set the standard. They've been in all the championships that we've played in. And it's exciting to see the work that they put in pay off for this year. They've worked hard during the summer, weight room, on the field, and we're excited to see it get going. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is trying to play, like he said, we're divided, okay, but we're still trying to play the best possible teams that we can play. One of them being Central, and that's usually a first game every year, but we like to play the best, and hopefully that prepares us for where we want to be in the postseason. So not only are we excited to play them for the Kickoff Classic, but we're excited for the publicity that it'll bring flag football in general.
So what is key to the growth of flag football from your standpoint at Montgomery Catholic?
From my standpoint, the championships help, obviously. Everybody likes to go play in a state championship. But I think just the fact that it's new for everybody. You're kind of learning together the first year. Not just them, we're all learning together. So it's not like somebody's played it for 10 years. It's growing and learning as you go.
Are you surprised by the level of play? Because I think a lot of people go, wow, it's really advanced to be such a young sport, technically, right?
Yes, I mean, but no. When you compare it to the other sports, they compete at that level at every other sport, so we expect nothing less.
What is it like selling everybody on the team aspect at Montgomery Catholic and get everybody to be on board with that common goal?
I think the seniors have helped tremendously with that. We've kind of set a standard when they were in 9th grade of, you know, these are our expectations. This is where we want to be at the end of the year, and they kind of keep everybody on board with that.
What do you see on video when you check these guys out?
We haven't checked them out yet. We have a scrimmage game today, but obviously we've played them every year, and the first few years our first year, it was a learning curve. But we know the competition we're going to get. I think very highly of him, and it's always a great atmosphere, great competition, and we're excited for it.
Any specific questions for Montgomery Catholic? And we'll have a chance to talk to her more there. So, thank you. Next is Mitchell Holt, who's the head coach for the Central Phoenix City Red Devils. I think #1 in USA Today preseason, right? So no pressure on that. finished the last 3 years as a state champion. Here's Mitchell Holt. Just start with some general comments about your team.
Thank y'all for having us. Thank y'all for including us in the Kickoff Classic. It's pretty surreal to look up there and see the two best teams in 7A or 6A now over the past 10 years, and we're included in that. So that's awesome. It was kind of a dream a couple years ago to make it happen, and to have it at our place makes it even more special. It's a privilege to, kind of be at the forefront of flag football here in the state and be recognized nationally. And I look back sometimes, people think that we've always been the team we are now, and all you have to do is pull that first Montgomery Catholic film up and you'll know very quickly neither one of us were what we are now, but we became that from hard work. And the cool thing is I didn't know Coach Toole at the time very well, but after we play every year, we always bounce ideas off of each other after that and help each other out the best we can. And to find out that, those two teams that played on that day about, 4 or 5 years ago now is combined to play in 6 state championships, that's pretty cool. So just to see the growth in the sport and the growth within our two programs, I hope there's a couple girls she's had forever. Hope they graduate soon, but looking forward to that matchup. But to be here and be included with this is awesome. Thank you to the state. Thank you to the media for pushing our girls and making it special for them and bringing them to the forefront of high school sports. It's awesome. And what y'all do at the Super 7 to include us goes above and beyond what we are used to having. So we're appreciative, very appreciative of that as well.
It speaks to the power of private schools that you choose to schedule, because I know how it goes, right? You have your region, and then you want to schedule strategically on the 3 games that you have. You chose a private school to schedule with, so talk about the reason for that.
Yeah, I think we're playing quite a few private schools. Montgomery Catholic, a couple out of Georgia, and I'm pretty sure most of those guys in California are private schools. They typically are pretty good at flag football. So we want to schedule the best, and like I said, we've been going on for a few years now, and we wanted to maintain that, that game because they played us the toughest last year. I think we won by 1 score, and they always give us a tough game to open the season, and we find out, what we're made of and what we need to work on quickly before we get into region play. So it's a good matchup early.
So what were the advantages and disadvantages of building this program with the incredible success of the boys' football side of things?
Well, I used to cut up all the time. We'd go play teams in softball, and they'd have a really good pitcher, and I didn't think they were very athletic. And they'd beat us, of course, because the pitcher in softball kind of dictates the game. And I just tell myself, I wish we were playing football today, because we were always athletic. And lo and behold, the opportunity presented itself, and I had to back up what I'd been saying for 10 years. And we've got plenty of athletes in Phoenix City, and it's a football town. So when the opportunity presented itself for our girls to get involved outside of just the powder puff game that they had every year, it was a no-brainer to give it a shot. And I was blessed to have a lot of talent decide to come over from softball to flag football with us, and that's kind of what we built it on.
And there's a lot of multi-sport athletes.
Right.
Yeah, in that for sure. And good that it's on 2 different sides of the ledger, fall and winter, obviously, softball and football. Was that a carrot that dangled with their success that you now you can point when you started your team and as you go, hey, we're really good on this side, so we need to be good to carry it?
Yes, I mean, this is the culture of Phoenix City. I mean, our football teams lead the athletic department. If you got a really good football team, there's a good chance you got a really good athletic department, and other teams follow suit. So every team represented here is represented throughout other sports as well at a high level. And it's just a standard set by the school and by the community. Our players know what's expected out of them, just like the guys do, and that doesn't change. I do use it a little bit to our advantage. If we win one more, we've got one more than any team in Phoenix City's ever won. So we do dangle that carrot, but we just all want to be good, be our best. And it was put in place long before we ever arrived, the standard that was set in Phoenix City. So we're just trying to carry on that legacy and make everybody proud.
Finally, is the sport, I know it's healthy because it's growing like crazy, but are you kind of surprised by the interest that is coming in flag football so quickly?
Not here in the South. I mean, everybody grows up throwing a football, and now the young ladies have the opportunity to go play and show what they're capable of, and it kind of fuels a little competition with the guys, especially if they got a brother. One we've got a 5th grader, she's a manager now, and her brother's one of the best 10th graders in the state. But she's our manager. She had headsets on yesterday giving signals. So I know she went home and told Braylon all kinds of good stuff. But it just fuels that fire that in football's king in the South. And, it's an awesome that these girls get to take part in it.
Any questions for Mitchell? Kyle?
Tell us a little bit about the opportunity to go out west here in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, we're excited. We're leaving September, and I think it's the Max Prep Invitational, but it's us and Glacier, Wyoming, and California. So it's the California Invitational, but that's where the standard's been set. There in Florida for years, and we go out there and match up against some really good teams. It's a different style of play, different flags. They don't use cones on the field. It's more like the guys' game with the referee setting the ball. It moves at a little faster pace because you're not moving the cones. But the rules are pretty much the same other than that, but it'll be a challenge for us. And then, this season is all about playing the best teams we can play. And, I don't want to get to the postseason and it's the first time we've been tested or the second time we've been tested. I want to be tested multiple times throughout the year so that when we get in those games that really matter, we've been in those situations and we know how to respond, or we've learned from our responses throughout, August and September and even October. So we're excited. A lot of kids have never been on an airplane. And then I don't know the last time we sent a team to California to play, but we're excited to go do that, and hopefully we can come back and play Auburn in that regional match 3 days later after we get back and have our legs under us to be ready to go.
Not that you're looking ahead at the schedule. Okay, now?
Yeah, Phoenix City's got to be a buzz right now with Little League World Series, and one of those girls that's kind of at the forefront in your program.
Yeah, she's been the manager for 2 years, and when she shows up, I told her yesterday they left at 7 a.m. this morning to fly to Williamsport, and I told her, I said, if you come back on Monday and we've got a game Monday, you're playing Monday. She's 12, but she'll start on both sides of the ball for us, and she'll come out when she's tired. But she's been one of our best scout team players for the past couple years, and we the star of the other team was Kinley last year as an 11-year-old. She carried that, and just quick story, we were preparing for the state championship, and Vestavia had a really good receiver, and she couldn't be there the Friday after Thanksgiving. She was not happy about it, but I told her, I said, study 44, be ready to go. She showed up Saturday, and at 11 years old, she was doing what 44 did in that particular game, so she's been preparing us. Now it's her time to play, but she's upset she's missing, but she's representing the Southeast in Williamsport, so that's pretty cool that she's up there competing with the guys and not just competing, but dominating.
Any other questions for Mitchell? All right, Mitchell, thank you very much. On the boys' side, again, that game's at 3 o'clock, Montgomery Catholic and Central Phoenix City at Phoenix City. Now to the boys' side, they'll start at 7 o'clock. We got Mark Freeman of Thompson, who's won, I think we figured up, is it 17 or 18? Total championships, including like a weightlifting and different things from his entire career. Of course, several in football now, and I don't have to talk about his record. We'd be here for another hour. So, Mark, come on up and say a few words about your team, and we'll ask some questions.
Thank you, Scott. I want to start off by thanking Alabama High School Athletic Association and everything in all the years I've done that goes into being our ceiling and our protectors and our foundation. We could not operate without a roof. And everything don't always go the way that the media or I call them the cowards with the burner accounts, want to put it out there. But me personally, it's a pleasure and it's an honor to be here. You never can take granted that you're going to be coaching or playing. And it's just an honor to be able to represent and be here and be part of the association. We're thankful for the association. I'm thankful for Mr. Harmon and what they do. It's endless work. It's kind of like a coach. You're going to, if you bat 50-50 on it, you're doing good. But I want you to know at Alabaster Thompson, I'm sure Coach feels the same way. We're blessed to be here. It's an honor to be here. And I mean that. I'm not saying this to gain brownie points. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Our association is great. I got friends in other states, and there's some things that look attractive to a couple of them states, but there's also some states that you may not know who's going to play for you the next day. And I think high school football is still trying to hang on there and be the great foundation game that it is. And God made a great sport when he made football, because it's a great sport, and it's just an honor see what these guys are doing with the flag football end of it. You know, I had a daughter. I'd never had a son. I coach 100 guys a year. They're about like sons. But growing up in the cheerleading world and the female world and all, I much respect to you coaches for what you do. And I felt like I need to say that because there's misconceptions out there a lot of times. And you put 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor on it, and a lot of times the truth will come out in some rooms. So I appreciate y'all, Mr. Harmon and Scott and everybody involved here. And it's an honor to play Cody and them. What a great program. What a great bunch of people. We've played them several times in big games, and it's always been a class-run situation when we played them. It was great going. It wasn't fun to plan going down there last year, but it was great to go down there and actually get to play in that stadium, see that city, the support they had, and, you know, what a game. So hopefully this year it will provide another great game, and Coach and myself will move on to the next game and then start region play. But it's an honor. I appreciate Coach agreeing to play, and I'm sure he appreciates me. You know, it's hard to find games sometimes, and I appreciate Coach and players and all. It's going to be a great game. Pray for good weather. It's just a blessing to be here.
5 out of 6 state championships, and you've always done this. You're not afraid to be 10-3. You know, a lot of coaches want to be the undefeated. Of course, every coach does, right? But you play a difficult out-of-region schedule when you basically have an SEC region pretty much in yourself. Give me your thought process.
We just want to play great competition. I heard Coach hit on this. You can't get lost in your ego, your coaching career, how many wins you get. It don't matter how many wins you have. You're trying to save souls, people. There's no count on that. So what you want to do is go play the best teams that you can play, reasonably speaking. You know, but we've been playing some Georgia schools the last couple of years, and for some reason we didn't get those games this year. And Coach, I know Coach was coming back to Central, and I felt like they was going to have the same problem we do. And we played Clay the next week, and then we got a great Florida team at the end of the year. But I just think that we need to be really prepared if we can win the games during the year to get in the playoffs. I don't want our players to be shell-shocked by speed and power. And so we play these games. They don't hurt us region play. We want to win every one of them. I can't ask our players and coaches 10 times a year just to max yourself out emotionally. And probably some of those losses were probably, if I look at it, probably on me. But we overcame them. It's going to be the same thing this year. We're not going to, you know, we need to have, if we get in the playoffs, we need to be fresh. We need to be mentally tested, physically tested. And I think the teams we're playing this year will do that. And like I said, if you get in November, everybody remembers November. And so we just want to be our best then. And I think you pray as a coach, you get through them healthy. But you can beat a team 55-0 and lose players. So that's really not a thought or a process. And so I just think, Scott, it's the way to go. I think Coach is doing the same thing, and it just makes you better.
So you and Mitchell and Whitney have done this. I think it's intriguing to be winning for so many years in a row, and you do a nice job of closing that chapter. That was last year. This is this year. Give me keys to that, to have the team buy into what you're doing every year.
I just think the way we choose to run our school, our program, is really it's almost like a year-round situation. The players we have, it takes a lot of dedication, because I feel like the one thing that you play these teams, you just want to go home at night and say, we prepared the best we could, and you sleep and you get up the next day. What kills you as a coach is when you don't prepare the way you feel like you should, or you cut a corner. So we don't cut corners. I mean, every week's the same. You got to tell yourself it don't matter who you're going to play. All we can do is control this. I can't control coach, their players, the media, but we can control our players and our program, our coaches, our thoughts, our preparation. And that's what we focus on, is how do we prepare for us and what do we need to do? And it's been just so standard. I told Trent the other day, I probably could send these kids out here, especially these seniors, and tell them to go practice, and they would know the periods, the time, the breaks, the water breaks. And it's just because we're very routine. It's very routine. and you just hang on January to April, praying for spring training gears, because I know it's monotonous on them, but to compete with the guys like we play, you have to do it. And Scott, I just think they concentrate on themselves, and they're used to doing it, and I'm very blessed to be their coach, to have people that buy into that, so.
Finally, obviously 7A has dissipated as the private schools have come on board, so now 6A is the highest classification. No difference really there as far as coaching and teams getting ready and different things, right?
No, sir. I mean, we don't get caught up in all that. You're going to be where you're supposed to be, and you're going to play who you're supposed to play, and that's how it's going to be. And, it's just 6A, 7A, whatever it is. But there's good teams. There's not a lot of difference between them really good last year 6A teams and 7A. That once you get to that 5A this year and 6A teams, there's some really good teams that, in all those divisions. And we're really blessed in the state to have a lot of really good football players and coaches, and you just don't see a lot of trouble. They play, pretty much shake hands, go home. And that's the thing we need to be setting, is when you have two great communities come together and the coaches and the players get along, I think it sends a great message to the community that you don't have to hate the community that night that you're playing against. You're playing them out of respect, not hate. And so I think if we can all remember that, you want to beat certain teams, you do, but it's out of respect, not out of hatred. And it's just a great game. It's just it's a blessing to be part of it.
Mark, thank you. Mark Freeman, Thompson head coach, and let's bring up Cody Flournoy. He came from Jackson High School. Had a pretty good running back last year, if I remember.
Yes, sir.
Pretty good. Won a state championship in a very convincing fashion, and the new coach is Central Phoenix City. Start with some general comments.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm sitting here looking at. This is #1 national ranked program here. Talking about football and flag, we rode up here together. We've been doing a lot of things. We share facilities over there with us, so we're closely intertwined. And but the standard's the standard. So just glad to have good guys around us, high level people. But talking about the state of football, first of all, I want to say, hey, thanks for having us here. This is a great game coming up. I'm looking at the graphic posted up, you guys. That's a great graphic too, and this is the type of game that you want to see. And I was looking at the schedule for you guys that are doing the Thursday night games, and I got so many people in so many of those programs that we know that we like and pulling for, and that's a really good Thursday night slate of games and stuff. So I'm just so happy to be here and to kick off this game. This is the type of atmosphere that we want to be in. You don't hang banners for winning the first game. You hang banners for winning the last game. And, there's a good likelihood that these two programs will be there at the end of the year again playing each other. But we'll be here going through an interview process. And all you guys, because all you guys have been around this championship type program, which our state does a great job of hosting. It's a lot of interviews. It's a lot of extra time. It's a lot of camera time. It's a lot of time. That's not just your regular football routine. So to be in this type of situation and this atmosphere with a bunch of cameras and reporters and a bunch of folks, just kind of asking you questions and things, it's good for our guys to go through this, of course, to play great competition. Look at this record right here with Coach Freeman. It don't get any better with that. So, Coach, I'm just honored to be here with you. And so, and again, thanks for taking our game. I think we had the option to play IMG, a team out of Chicago, and a team out of Maryland. That was kind of our choices right there. Georgia had kind of changed some of their playoff picture stuff. So, some of the games that we might have gotten out of Georgia, they had kind of shut that off with what Coach was saying too, because we're right there on the Georgia line, and we just didn't have a whole lot of luck getting games. But we're going to play Clay Chalkville too, and we'll play them at the end of the year. So we got two. At one point, we were all top 50 national ranked programs, and we'll all three play each other at that time. And then we got Pell City next week, and then, of course, we'll get into region play. But, the state of the high school football is strong. It's really good. I come out of a small community down there in southwest Alabama in Jackson, and that was a great place. And all of those communities down there love their football. And then to come up here at Central Phoenix City, the standard's still the standard, and this community loves their football. But y'all know what it is. It's hey, like, the mayor of Phoenix City played football at Central, you know, and our doctors and our lawyers, all the people that's prominent in Phoenix City, they come out of our program, and they were in the band or they cheer for our games on Friday nights. So it's really big to a lot of people in our community. And so just to stand here and represent Phoenix City, it's important to me. And so I'm proud to be here. And, you know, the college game's changed, and NIL and transfers and stuff. But, you know, we brought Bobby Coleman with us up here. That's our quarterback. And he was talking about watching games on Friday nights. He pulled up the hype videos from 2013, 14, 15, and he was cutting up on the way up here. But that's a guy that's been in our system the whole time coming through, and knows our guys. And he talked about being at the playoff game. And these are stories that, you know, he loves to tell. And it's neat riding up here because he's talking about things that as a kid that he watched, and now he's a senior leading this program. So it's just a really cool moment, and I'm just happy to be able to share something like that.
And I'll get back to questions with Mark in just a moment, but similar philosophy as Mark and all the others that we've heard so far on playing that difficult non-region schedule to get your team prepared.
Yeah, you look at you see the records here. Coach Freeman, they hadn't been undefeated in the, I guess, 2020. So you got to go play those games. Even our games last year at Jackson, we played Saraland game 1, opened up the year with it. But you know, and again, I alluded to this too. You don't hang banners for week 1 games. You hang banners for winning the week 15 game, which is championship game. And so in order to prepare for that stuff, you go play these opponents. And the other thing is we got to find games. You know, we're just looking for people to play us at some point. And if I know this is a good program, which Thompson is, we know their AD, we know how they run things, we know what we're getting with them, a good, clean, high competitive game. And then, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially when the dates work out. And, you know, they were looking for a road game. We were looking for a home game. And so, again, credit to Coach Freeman and, of course, all the folks there with their administration for, you know, let's get in this game together.
You've been at Jackson and now at Central, and you talked about a little bit about the next question, just the specialness of high school. You know, we all love college football, right? And some people love the NFL, but to me, there's nothing like the specialness of high school football, that you are so indigenous to the community, to the grandmothers and to the aunts and uncles, to the kids and all that stuff. That's just something that can't be duplicated.
Yeah, so like on our staff, our defensive coordinator is Adrian Lyles. He played for Central. He was on one of the early championship games, the 92 team, I think. And then his son graduated last year, set state sack records up at Jacksonville State. And he's got 2 younger sons that's playing for us now. But, you know, that's just an example. We got a couple other coaches that we hired this year that played at Central. But just seeing those generations of folks that, like, even me, the group that I played with, their kids are coming through now. Their sons are in there now, and because this is home for me, going back home, and so you just can't get that anywhere else because the people grew up living it, knowing it, and Central's been really good for a long time, and so their expectations are high, and of course, if you go around the local barbershops, you'll hear all the hey, our team would have beat any of these teams and all that conversation. But yeah, it's really fun. It's what makes it really great to be a part of.
Any questions for Cody?
Coach, football's great. How many of your kids get to go on to college, not just Division I, but to pay for their college education by playing football?
Yeah, so like a program like Central right now, there's 10 through 12. I think we have 117 on roster. There's 35 or so each class, and some of the younger classes a little bit more. But about 15 is the average number of kids that go on to play college football from our program. And then, of course, you know, we know that y'all know some of the bigger name guys, but, you know, heck, we signed a kid to Huntington, and they're going to provide, you know, assistance for him to go play and get his college degree. And so, and we love, because I got a couple of guys that coach with us from Huntington. It's a great program, but it's the opportunity for the kids to, hey, this is an opportunity for them to go better themselves and, come back into Phoenix City and be those leaders like we have so many people that already done.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to hear your thoughts about, finding these non-region games. How hard is it now? Like to hear Mark's comments on, just finding these non-region games and maybe the expenses of maybe playing somewhere you travel.
Yeah, so just kind of throw some numbers out there, and I forget what the school was up in Chicago. They're like, hey, come up there first week, and we ended up not working out, but they're like, hey, we'll put you on ESPN, $20,000 stipend, and we got to crunching numbers. We're like, guys, that's a $100,000 trip to take our group up there, and then we got talking about buses, and then versus flights versus hotels, and it's like, no, let's go 2 hours up the road and play a top 50 national team. We thought, this type of game that would get picked up, but I think they picked up the St. Michael game, which is fine. I'm very familiar with Coach Rivers and them down there too. Good, great program down there. But really tough. Last year they played, talking about Central, they played First Academy out of Orlando and IMG, and so why are they playing them games? Well, it's hard to get games. And for me, it's like, hey, this is what I'll say traditional week 0. Man, this is a great game. But why wouldn't you play a week 0 game like that? And I don't have a good answer for that. I know where we're at, and it's easier for us because we're going to win football games. And if we lose a game, so be it. We're trying to get better. So that's just our philosophy. Coach Freeman, I know he feels the same way. But again, it's like, hey, we're willing to play. It's just I can't answer for everybody else why they wouldn't put us on the schedule. But those games are out there. In 2 years, we'll do it again. It's like, hey, it'll be the same thing. It's like, hey, come on, we'll take all callers. And it was the same way at Jackson. Not a lot of folks are going to call you. One good thing about being at Jackson was that we were a 4A. At the time, and there were 7As, and so there would be some 7As that would play, and we ended up picking up some Mobile schools and stuff like that out of there. Being at the top is even tougher because, none of the small schools really want to play you, and so you got to go find those games.
Any more questions? All right, and Mark, I'll ask you to stand back up. Yes, sir. If there's any questions for Mark, I forgot to ask any. Maybe I'm mistaken. All right, that's good.
Thank y'all.
We appreciate it. That was easy. They'll be available, of course, for a few minutes afterwards if you want to get one-on-one and group interviews and ask a specific question as well. We appreciate you all watching on the live streaming on WOTM. Vince, thank you for all you do for us throughout the year, Jack, as well, and everything for the championships and the games of the week that we have. We have an NFHS deal that I'm going to give to the media members. And this is, I guess that should have been up a little earlier. But we've got a special free kind of pass where we're going to reward 10 media members. We'll do that afterwards for the sake of time. So just come see me before you leave, and we'll figure that out. And we'll take your ticket stub and tear that and see if you win the NFHS portion of that. So that concludes our press conference today. Thanks to Heath Harmon, our staff that works diligently to help put all this stuff together. Thank media for showing up. We appreciate it. And we will see you next Thursday at Central Phoenix City, 3 o'clock flag football, 7 o'clock boys football for our Kickoff Classic. Thanks, everyone.